What's happening, folks? Back with another reaction, back with some more Nujabes and his album Modal Soul from 2005, though once again I am working with the 2024 repress. Thank you again to my friend Chris. And we're going to listen to The Sign featuring Pase Rock, maybe Pace Rock, but I'm going to guess Pase. I'm not familiar with this, I assume MC, so I have no context there. Just to think about the title of the track for a minute, as someone who was a teenager in the 90s, I'm inclined to think of the Ace of Base tune, but a sign is a symbol that represents some information. It could be literal information, meaning informative. It could be normative, requiring or at least encouraging a particular type of action. It could be connotative or denotative, meaning it's simply a reference to some entity that is being shown or referenced in singular or compartmentalized fashion. Of course, it could just be a rhyme or like a background to a narrative, meaning a sign that is seen by characters who are interacting with each other, and thus it's part of a more human story. Either way, I'll see what I can catch on a first listen. This is The Sign by Nujabes featuring Pase, I'm guessing, rock, or maybe Pace Rock.
It all fall apart. Every time I walk, I watch, I look, I notice, I observe, I read the signs. And the signs are pointing in the wrong direction. The signs are not naming the streets or leading you to the highway. The signs are naming names. Tombstones to mark the dead of children not even born. And I don't mean abortion, I mean what it's become. The signs are telling me to turn back around. The signs are telling me to research my past. The signs are telling me to learn from my mistakes. The signs are asking me questions. Do you want to watch it all fall apart? Do you have any control? Is there anything that you can do? Time is not a nice person. I know because the sign said it. Time can be generous, but ultimately time is indifferent. Time does not give two damns or a fuck. So what will you do? What will we do? So I'm in the middle of the street talking to the signs, and people are looking at me, pointing and laughing like this motherfucker's crazy. Do they not see the signs? Do you not see the signs? There's one thing in this world that you can depend on, and you can bet your last dollar on, it's the ignorance of the American people. But still I have faith. And still I read the signs. And they are indeed there. Some of us are lost and will not find our way no matter what the signs say. Some of us do not see the signs because we are too busy shopping. Some of us do not see the signs because we can't help but stop and look at the accidents and stare. We are in a daze. We are amazed by the world's displays. Some of us do not see the signs because we are giving spare change to the homeless. We are getting gas. We are volunteering for duty. And we are watching television. We are driving around in circles on spinners, and we are working 8 to 6. We are on our way to the club. We are high, we are drunk, and we are sober. And we do not see the signs. We are listening to a moron babble. We are listening to tongues that lie. We give them an ear, we give them a hand, we give them both eyes. So we cannot see the signs. Slow, there are children playing in these streets and they cannot read the signs. They are holy children. Stop. Stop. I fear there is no U-turn, and that this road dead ends because we cannot read the signs. Do you not see the signs? We must read the signs, and we must turn around. We must turn around. We gotta turn this shit around, and we gotta read the signs. We must read the signs. We must read the signs. We must read the signs. We gotta read the signs. We gotta turn this shit around. We must turn this shit around. We gotta turn this shit around. We gotta read the signs.
Damn. It's like a kid's rattle. I was trying to figure that out. I think that's what that is, which has conceptual meaning. So indeed, there's a lot to say about the lyrics, and damn, is it more relevant now in 2025 than it was in '05? It's at the very least equally relevant, and I suppose that is part of some of the points being made, that this is a characteristic of humans more broadly, Americans more narrowly, and a dynamic with generational consequences. Certainly he's talking about the way in which humans, again, in general, and maybe Americans more narrowly, have a lot of activities and reasons, some more understandable, even admirable, many of them more dubious, and some of them outright objectionable, that they're not able to see the signs. Now, I think signs here is functioning in multiple respects. The visual is like street signs, directions, street signs that indicate how one should be driving or which way one should go. But of course, these are all figuratively expressed in the context of the state of the nation, the state of the world, the state of humanity, the state of individual lives and their trajectories. And it's also using the term signs as in patterns, like, seeing the writing on the wall, meaning being able to recognize outcomes, events, processes that foretell future outcomes and situations. And if you're not able to recognize those signs, then you're not able to steer your car or change your speed or your trajectory such as would fit that potential outcome. So you're speeding toward a dead end because you don't know it's a dead end. You can't see the signs warning you that that's where we're headed, and you don't know that you should be U-turning, as the song talks about. So again, I think signs is functioning on a more visual and visceral level, but it's also very much analogical and metaphorical. And again, like the idea of people who will never be born. It's like, I love how he instantly stipulates, I'm not talking about abortion, I'm talking about what's happened to communities of people and what happens when people, don't know their own history. And he's talking about the way in which there's some people too busy buying things and just being all about consumerism that they don't actually, look to see that there's danger in the way modern societies function and the way the modern American society has been sort of tailored to perpetuate some of our worst impulses, and, some of the people at the very top just compulsively lying and misleading and benefiting themselves at the expense of the majority. And if we don't begin to see these signs better, then not only will we not be able to change our individual and collective trajectories and maybe, avoid running right toward this red light and dead end where we're going to smash into a wall and there will be even worse consequences, but our kids, they're out here in the streets and they don't have the wherewithal to see these signs because we're not doing our duty or our due diligence when it comes to recognizing these factors and these concepts, to extricating ourselves from some of our worst impulses. Now again, it talks about people who are, serving, doing their duty, and engaging in activities which are more understandable, again, even admirable, but without a sense that this society as a whole can turn around or shift toward a better direction, then even those admirable choices and life trajectories will suffer negative consequences because of the movement, the inertia of the whole, which is, again, not heeding the signs, not reading them, and not being aware of the dangers that they portend. So, really cleverly written. In a moment, I'm going to go over to Discogs, which I have my internet open. I just want to see who Pase Rock is, or Pase Rock, because those were great lyrics. Now, sonically, I feel like it was more supportive. It's like you're really inclined to key in on the lyrics, especially as someone who is inclined to follow lyrics notably, which, again, I listen to punk rock and I listen to, like conscious synth pop and so on, where they're actually commenting on the world, not just relationships. And don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong with songs that deal with emotional issues or relationship issues, or they're more psychological and less external. But again, as someone who does listen to dissident punk rock and art forms that make commentary about society, politics, culture, human relations more broadly, I am very much inclined to follow lyrics. So I found myself doing that here. But definitely, it's a jazzy kind of tune. It seemed to have it's not like a skip rhythm, I forget the term, but it had like a slightly irregular or non-standard cadence to it. So it felt like we were, moving along with considerable energy, but almost like we're a bit not in control of it, which feels like that might be conceptually intended. But yes, it's got a jazzy feel, it's smooth, it's light. It was busier than I normally think of when I think of lo-fi hip-hop. So I still think it had that lo-fi vibe, but it had a lot of moving parts, a lot of like sonic elements that made it feel a bit less minimal than a lot of lo-fi hip-hop does. But either way, I thought it was a fantastic tune. Before I end the video, let me just quickly look up Pase Rock here, or Pase Rock. Again, I'm not quite sure. Okay, so he does have a Discogs page. Patrick Johnson, member of 5Deez. He's got stuff going back at least to the early 2000s, as far as I can see. 5Deez, an abbreviation of Fifth Dimension, a hip-hop group from Cincinnati, Ohio. So, okay. And again, they've been around since, it looks like, the very late 90s. The first couple things are seemingly on cassette tape. And then, in the early 2000s, it looked like they start putting out a lot more. As far as I can see, they've got nothing later than 2009, so perhaps they're not active anymore. But yeah, that's some pretty incredible lyrics from Mr. Johnson, so shout out. Oh, and he also goes by Von LaRock. Let's see if that one seems to have been on like a one-off alias. But yeah, man, like really cool rhymes from a member of a hip-hop group from Cincinnati, so shout out to him. In any case, shout out and RIP, of course, to Nujabes. Let me know what you think of this, and I will see you for the next one. Peace.